Hey guys, thanks for watching. When you go out and get a brand new permission, there's a general set of rules that most detectorists use. I hope most of us are using them. Things like, dig a nice clean plug, double check your hole, take your trash with you, leave no trace behind, right? I want to add one to that. And it's probably, I think, one of the most important things that you can do to make your hunt 100 times better than what it could have been. When you get that new permission, I hope you take time to talk to the homeowner, to begin to pick their brains for information. I ask questions like, what were the names of the families that have occupied this home? How old is the home? Did anybody in the home serve in the military or in any wars? Because a lot of times, we'll dig up a little thing that maybe has a little monogram on it or a military button, and you got a choice to make when you find something like that. You can stick it in your pocket and take it home and put it on a shelf. But if you know the story, you might be able to go back to that homeowner and knock on the door and say, look what I found. Let's talk about this. I remember a few years back, I found a little Tootsie toy. Kind of it wasn't in the greatest shape, but I showed it to the homeowner, and when I showed it to him, he had very clear memories of his younger brother owning that little toy. And it was really cool to be able to return it to him. The permission that you're about to see and the 1909 house that I dug a couple weeks ago are owned by the same person. A very sweet lady, we're going to call her Mrs. S. And I don't think that she would mind me telling you that she's in her 90s. But guys, I kid you not, I have never run across anybody of any age with such clear memories of the past. She was able to tell me so many things about this area that I'm digging in Andrews, North Carolina. Her memory was so good that she began to tell me about my wife's family. She began to fill in gaps of information that were missing in my wife's family story. She knew them personally. And then she began to pull out some photos, and the photos that she showed me, I had never seen before. Take a look at this first photo. Here's this group of young men, and they're standing in front of this big building. Now, this building is called the Carnegie Library, and I never even knew that it existed in town. It's been torn down, unfortunately. But look at how they're dressed. That's probably the best that each one of them owned, and some of those guys are in bib overalls. So what are they doing? They've come to the library to enlist to fight in World War I. And then she showed me a second photo. Here's the same group of guys all in fresh uniform. Well, I wanted to find out a little bit more about them, and I'm glad that I did. It turns out that this was called the Andrews Cavalry Troop. There's a man crouched down at the front on the far left. That's Mrs. S's father-in-law. He was the captain of this little group of men. Now, they became attached to the 30th Division in the Army. That was known as the Old Hickory Division. No other division has won more medals of honor than the 30th Division. These guys were the ones that first broke the Hindenburg Line in World War I. They were warriors and they were patriots, and it made me very proud to know that this area that I have pretty much grown up in my whole life produced men like this. I was able to post these pictures on Facebook, and comments began to come in, and people would say, man, my grandfather's in that picture. My great-grandfather's in that picture. It's something that this area can be very, very proud of. I would have never known any of this had I not spent time talking to Mrs. S. I drive over a bridge every day named for her father-in-law, and I never knew his story until she told me. So I just want to put that in your head. Don't just go out there and dig holes. We're not just digging things, guys. We're digging pages of people's lives. And we have a responsibility to reconnect those people if at all possible. It's the most rewarding thing that we can do in this hobby. So I hope you enjoy this video. This new permission is a beautiful yard, and I found some pretty cool things in it. Well guys, I am at another permission and look at this place. I don't even know the date of the house yet. I've got to do the research. I just got the permission. Much smaller yard. Lots of ivy in place, but that's a little bit thick to get into. But I have dug 2 targets already. First 2 targets, check it out. 67 and 67. Just missed it. But I haven't been in this yard yet. This was all right over here by the edge of the driveway. So let's get on it and see what's here. All right. Check it out. We got a button. It's a weird looking thing. It looks like an old button, but it's got that loop on it. Like a keychain loop. What have we got? It looks military. This one's got me confused, guys. Let me see if I can clean this one up a little bit better. That's wild looking. Alright guys, right now I'm pulling up a blank. I'm gonna have to, excuse me, search a little harder, but Canadian maybe? I really thought that would pull something up pretty quick, but I'll have to dig a little deeper. Crossed rifles. I think it may have something to do with like a shooting club. Military connection, maybe. Got a back mark too I gotta clean up. Cool find. So who was the Maccabee Rifles? Well, let's go back to 1880 in Canada. A fraternal organization known as the Knights of the Maccabees was formed. Now they formed, and a lot of their traditions were based loosely off of the Maccabees of Jewish tradition, which were a group of Jews that revolted during the time of Christ against an oppressive government. The Maccabees, as they became to be known in the 1900s, moved down into the northern U.S. states and even down as far south as Louisiana later on. They were very patriotic, and many of the Maccabees served in the First World War. Now, even those Maccabees that were not able to serve in the war wanted to do their part to be able to defend the country. So they went to the government and asked for permission to train using military standards, and also for the use of government-issued military rifles. And they were given permission to do so. They said, you know, we're not going to interfere with the National Guard, but our men will be trained, and if we're ever needed, you can call on us. The names of the Maccabees who died in the First World War are included on this Roll of Honor, which is a big brass plaque, and it lists all their names. Very patriotic group. Well, this is cool. Thought I had a big musket ball, but that's like steel. So I think it's one of them steel Aggies they would use for playing marbles. I have never had this happen to me before, but right there is the plug that I just dug, put back. I got an 84 signal, and at about, I don't know, six inches deep is at the bottom of the plug. I got this penny, and I thought, good old wheat penny. Nope, just a memorial. So I throw it in my pocket. I don't even know what the date is. I haven't even cleaned it up yet. It's 59. It just barely made it. So I put it back in my pocket, and I go to grab my shovel, and I notice, oh man, a little club of dirt come off of my shovel. That's why it rang up 84. Unfortunately, I know I creamed it. Come on, focus. Let's see what we got. Looks like a Rosie. $19.50. Very cool. Yep. Almost threw that one out of the hole. Alright, just a couple feet away. And there is the first wheat cent. Nice impression there too. 44. I gotta show you guys this because I just think it's beautiful. Check out what's tucked away in the corner of this yard. How'd you like to hang out here? Look at the benches. The benches look like they're slabbed out of marble, which there is a big marble quarry. That may be granite though. But either way, I mean, come on. Can you imagine building that? Wild roses, and put an old stove top on there. Little chimney stack going up, and then on the other side, the road. Shelves on the wall. Man, it's just beautiful. I love this. Somebody put a lot of time and probably spent a lot of time out here. There's the house. Well, I got a pocket watch part, but it's cooler than normal because it's got a lot of info on it. The Ingram Company, Bristol, Connecticut, and it's got patent dates of August 1907 and September 1907. Usually not used to seeing dates on those. That's cool. I think I read somewhere that the wheat penny composition changed at some point, and that would make sense because the older ones seem to have a green patina and the newer ones are kind of orange. This is 1919. That's a nice old one there. All right, I got a 1940 something wheat right there, and now we got a nickel. Hoping for a buffalo. That's what we got. Very cool. No date. You know what, actually, I see a 20 something on that. Maybe if it dries up a second. Shabby camera work. Let's see if we can get a date to pop on this thing. I'm going to zoom in and attempt to get this thing to focus. You'll see a date. Pretty sure I see a 20 something. Very cool. Always love finding those. Alright guys, I gotta tell you a quick story about this place. As I was walking around the yard, I noticed that there was an incredible variety of trees. I mean, redbud, hemlock, crepe myrtle, holly. There was a magnolia tree, an elm tree, and the list goes on, but hardly any doubles. So I felt like it was intentional. I began to talk to the homeowner, and I said, "Your yard is beautiful." And she said, "That was my mother." Now, the story comes in that while her mother was still alive, some workmen came in to do something, and one of her trees was in their way. So she told them to trim the tree. Well, they trimmed it at the ground. They cut the whole thing down, and she was upset. But not to be daunted, she hires a wrecker and a backhoe, goes out to a local farm and finds a full-grown tree to replace the one that they cut down, and has them haul this full-grown tree back, stand it up, and I'm not sure which tree it was. Unfortunately, I didn't get that information. But, you know, talk about an indomitable spirit. That just tickled me to death. The homeowner's mother, she was a lady that I would have liked to have met. And her yard is absolutely outstanding. Alright guys, I am done with this one. Small little yard, so I was happy with what I found. Got a little silver. Didn't do too bad on the quarters. And a 1926 Buffalo. And we got a 45 Wheatie, a 44 Wheatie, a 42, a 40, and in 1919. And then for some of the relics, I love that little steel Aggie right there. That's kind of cool. I have no idea what that is. And then the watch piece, the button, got a little bit more info on that. As far as the back mark, it is Columbus, Ohio, and it's the Lilly Button Company. I think W.C. Lilly, I think was the name. They made Civil War buttons too, but that's about, that's probably 1915, 1920, somewhere in there. Really cool. And a little bit of clad. So that's it. Thanks for watching.